War. War never changes.
Welcome to War Never Changes, episode number 34, potentially our last show of 2020. My name is Jim, joined always by the coolest guy I know who wears a orange shirt on Wednesday night. The best of the rest. That's the villain. Oh, that's the sidekick shirt. That's a sidekick
Yep.
shirt. Anyway, his name is none other than 50 caliber Phil McCracken. Sir, how you doing tonight?
I'm great, buddy. How about you?
I'm really, really good. I wanted to start off by saying today's show, I'm going to talk about some of the topics. That was a comment that I had received to kind of list what we're talking about, even though it's in the descriptions. Tonight we're going to be talking about CyberPunk 2077. I have a quiz for Phil, which should be entertaining, although I haven't completely figured it out yet, but it should be fun because I think there's going to be some good jokes in there. I am now 55 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so I want to talk about that. And we got some other news towards the end, PlayStation news, Xbox news, nothing major, just little stuff here and there. So, first and foremost, I want to say this is my section called Jim's Shoutouts, which I just created like this morning when I was making up the show notes. Two things. Number one, I greatly appreciate everybody who commented, rated, and subscribed to all of our videos. I do appreciate all the feedback. You know, we have been doing this now for 34 episodes. Go back and watch how bad the first episode was and how bad this episode is.
Marginally
And
better.
see how much we've grown. But I have to say a definite shout out to Phil. 2020 has been a hellacious year for everybody. But I honestly have to say I really look forward to doing the show with you each week. And here's to many more. So hopefully 2021 is amazing. Yep, I love you too. Hopefully 2021 is just amazing as, at least show-wise, as 2020. Maybe a little more amazing because some of those videos are single-digit views, and they're probably me. But I will say, if we've learned nothing from this year, in all seriousness, it's that Phil has now completely been beaten down by my crazy hairstyle, my crazy headbands, to the point that he doesn't even comment on them anymore. He didn't even go like, why are you wearing a headband? It has nothing to do with Frank Woods. It's just because I wanted to wear one.
Well, usually you tell me why. And when you're wearing a headband, you usually start out with, you know why I'm wearing this? And then you'll have some diatribe. So I was waiting for the diatribe, and then I'm so used to you looking like a totally homeless piece of shit that I forgot to ask. So you're right. You've conditioned me to this. Dude, when you eventually crawl out of your cave and get vaccinated and get a fucking haircut, you're going to come in looking all fresh, and my mind might just switch off and I might pass out.
Yeah, you know, I used to go in for a haircut once a month. My friend Harry recommended this barber. The guy doesn't speak any English. Really nice guy. Harry went in the first time and translated what I wanted, which I was an open book. And every time since I went, I would text him and he would write me back, "Si, senor." He understood the numbers of the calendar day, and 12/1, 2 p.m. Si, senor. And I would walk in, I'd smile, I'd sit down. He wouldn't talk to me. He'd cut my hair. He did the whole shave, everything. Took me about an hour. Phenomenal, phenomenal. Best haircuts I've ever had. But COVID happened and I left. So wherever he is, Welly, I hope you're doing well, sir. And maybe one day our paths shall cross again.
We shall see.
So I want to talk first and foremost about the biggest news of the week is CyberPunk. I actually have now played the game. I have some impressions for the 30 minutes I've played. Believe it or not, I have an opinion on the game. I've got 30 minutes under my belt. Before we get into all the nonsense of the news and to hear the hot take and everything, your thoughts on it, where are you in your Cyberpunk journey, and what are your kind of thoughts on what you've played and whatever? I don't think there's going to be spoilers, but try to keep it generic in case people haven't checked it out yet.
I'm about 15 to 20 hours deep.
Okay.
And I've progressed through the prologue, and the significant events during the prologue have transpired. I am now focusing on kind of continuing the main story arc, but also putting a lot of time into developing my relationships with like the side quest characters because, and this is not a fixer, this is not a spoiler, but the people who control the jobs that your character V is going to do in the world are called fixers. So I'm working on establishing my relationship with the fixers around the city and doing the little tasks they've asked me to do, and the taxi company that you will come to know what I'm talking about eventually that gets involved. I'm doing some stuff with that taxi company. So, you know, it's a buggy turd, and it's not what it's been advertised as, and it's disappointing. But there's a part of me, there are part of me inside of me that's a gamer that lives for a good story and just something different. And that's what this is. And it's been a pretty compelling story thus far. I have really grown to like my character, even though his dialogue is, for the most part, his dialogue options are very shallow. It doesn't. I don't want to give any spoilers at all, but.
So let me ask you this: you're powering through. You're playing on your Xbox One X. You got the CyberPunk limited edition console, so you got the free download copy of the game. I know that you and I have talked in the past that performance isn't necessarily the top thing on your list in terms of, if it's 60 frames, 30 frames, HD, that's not as priority to you as much as it is to me. But you're still able to power through these horrendous graphics, bugs, crashes, everything. And you're saying that you think, 20 hours in is a pretty decent time commitment at this point. So you're saying that despite all that, you still think it's interesting enough to kind of like put up, so to speak, with the nonsense?
So here's the thing. A big part of the reason why because, performance and bad graphics is one thing. My console crashing and having to restart it multiple times to get through a level is another. That's something I will not tolerate. But I told you I wanted to get through enough of it to where I felt we could have a good conversation about it on this show.
Okay.
And now that we're going to talk about it on the show, I can honestly say if I had purchased a physical copy, I wasn't just given one with the purchase of the console or the acquisition of the console, I would be taking them up on their return. What they've given us is
Uh-oh.
You still there, bud?
Yes, you are. I heard you say what they've given us is, and then you stopped.
Oh, I didn't say much more because after I said that I would give it back, you like gasped.
I said, "Uh-oh," because you go, "What they've given us is," and then you were like this, and it just stopped, and I was like, sometimes it catches up, like it goes, and I can make out what you're saying at rocket speed, but I didn't hear anything. So I think the gist of what you're saying is you would return this game. You kind of forced yourself through it to talk about it, but it's not. Despite there's too many bugs to carry on. That's basically what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
There's too many bugs to carry on, and they lied to us, and they admitted that they lied to us. So I just, I don't want to. I just talked last week about not doing this and not always voting with my wallet. But in this situation, CDPR enjoys a reputation in the gaming industry that is like God tier. It's like, I don't know. There's very few other developers that enjoy a pretty much unbesmirched reputation at all whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And despite everything, they showed signs of their character, and we forgave them. And me specifically told their employees, "Shut up and take your crunch." Turns out they're huge scumbags, and I'm so happy to see that they've fallen on their face and that people are turning on them because that's what they deserve. But yeah, no, I just don't want to support that. So if I had the option to give it back, I would, but I don't have that option. It's installed on the console. I can't get a refund for it. It came with the hardware, so. Right. I'm going to hope for some good patches and try to soldier forward.
Yeah, one of the nice things, I guess, about us doing a weekly show kind of midweek is we see the trends coming. Obviously a daily show, hot takes. A lot of people immediately reported on it. Then CyberPunk released a statement. than a lot of people reported on that. We kind of have a 50,000 foot view. We've seen a little bit more than that. When the game first launched, significant problems across the board, particularly on the older generation, which is so odd to me. I still think of current gen as PlayStation 4, even though and to me, next gen is PlayStation 5, but it's really, this gen is PlayStation 5 and previous gen, PlayStation 4, or Xbox Series X versus Xbox One X, same thing. But this game was initially designed for the console you're playing on. And when that collector edition, that limited edition console came out that you got, the hype was that it was going to come out at the launch of the game. You were going to get this hot new game that everybody wanted, a really sick looking console to enjoy it, cool controller. So there was no talks of PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series S or X at all, because they didn't. I mean, they existed, in the future they existed, but at the time of launch, they wouldn't have been out. So it's shocking to me that the product that came out looks as bad as it does when that was really the target this whole time. And it does kind of make me wonder with these delays, not that they could sweep it under the rug, but this is something that they didn't just wake up one day and go, oh my God, this game looks horrible. I mean, this is something that has been in the works for 7+ years. Like, this is a major meltdown of this company. This management is a total failure. There's really no redemption to me on any of that.
No, there can't be any redemption. And this whole, the cost is irrelevant. We're going to fix it at any cost to repair our reputation. Dude, you can't. You can never get back to where you were. No. People will remember this forever. Every time you release a game, you have one chance to do it the right way. And there's a basic blueprint for releasing a good game. Tell an interesting story and release something that fucking works, and that's it.
That's it.
And they couldn't do that. So I don't know. I want to hear about your experience, though. That's what I'm interested.
So I have played a very short amount of time. As I said, I've only played about, I'd say 45 minutes. Yes, yes, beautiful. Thank you for primping and preening. I love at the end of just face. If there was a tree, you'd be rubbing your back against it.
I said I wanted to look like you. That's why I screwed all my stuff up here.
Thank you.
Solidarity.
Thank you. That's right. One love. I've only played about an hour, give or take. I have to say, and this is going to probably sound like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. This is most likely going to be my game of the year next year. Just in the short amount of time that I've played on PC, it is phenomenal.
Isn't it a fun prologue?
Yes. Okay, to take a step back, me personally, what I like, I'm a huge fan of post-apocalyptic. I'm a huge fan of dystopian futures. That's like my jam. Blade Runner, that's my jam. You want to have a weird future with weird neon lights and like Firefly, the TV show, or even Star Wars to some extent on some of the fringe worlds. Maybe why I like Mandalorian so much. That really appeals to me. I instantly fell in love with just the amount of interactions I had in the bar. Still in the bar. You had interactions in the bar too?
No. I was hinting at your shirt, the Japanese characters. I know how much you love
I don't know if you could tell, but it's
overarching culture and influence in the things that you do. And I knew as soon as I saw the Japanese influence and their culture influence on Night City that you'd be stoked. But please.
Yeah, so for me, and this is still, I know there's going to be bugs in this game. I haven't encountered any yet, but to be fair, I haven't really done anything yet. Like, I can't even punch. I'm still just talking to people. But I gotta say, I was nervous because I'm playing it on a computer, and I had heard that it was a really monstrously beastly game. People with high-end computers were struggling. I also have an ultra-wide, which increases my viewing angle by a lot. My ratio is increased. More pixels means less, performance. And I'm running the game on every possible setting to the max, with the exception of ray tracing. And it's not a performance thing. I just don't like the way it looks. It looks too washed out to me. But between the G-Sync monitor I have and my 2080 Ti, I'm probably getting anywhere, I'm going to guess, probably about 80 to 90 frames a second. And it is incredibly smooth. I put my headphones on. I'm in that bar, and I am in that bar. I feel like I'm in the bar. The music, the lights, the talking, walking around. I forget I'm sitting in my house. I feel like I'm in the future in a bar. Like, it is some of the most immersive, and it sounds stupid, really, but it's so immersive. I mean, walking up to a vending machine and buying a Coke, like, it takes money out of your wallet. Like, oh, wow, like, that should work. Overhearing people talking on a phone. When I walked upstairs and I sat down across the table from, I don't know the guy's name. Maybe he's the main character, maybe he's not. By the way, I played as a street kid. Which, do you remember what class you selected?
Street kid.
So the guy that sits across from you, and he's like, "Hey, there's 4 of these cars in the world, and we want you to go steal one." While I'm talking to him, I'm looking over to my right, and there's that guy, Fat Joe, I think his name is, or Fat Tony, and he's sitting there eating a hamburger, and I could hear the munching and crunching out of my right ear. Do you remember that?
You froze. I didn't. You froze, and then you went 3,000 miles an hour, and I didn't hear any of it.
Any of the whole.
And now now your color's totally washed out. You're black and white now. And there's like a red image of your face next to your head.
What are you seeing? Okay, hold on. Let me stop recording. We will be right back. Technical issues. We'll be right back. Record. I'm hitting record. Can you still see me?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, we're back, everybody. Sorry, little hiccups. The opening quest, you're sitting across the bar from that guy, and to your right is this guy named Fat Joe who's eating a hamburger. I just stared at him watching him eat this thing. The detail on his arms, the pores on his arms, the crow's feet on his eyes, it was so lifelike. I mean, this is, to me, one of the prettiest games I've seen. The way the music's playing in the bar, the way the light's shining down on her face, the waitress is walking by, there's a guy behind me watching TV on his cell phone. I could hear him kind of faintly talking. It was so immersive. And I kept thinking to myself, okay, when I go outside this bar, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go outside this bar. This is definitely an instanced area. We're going to go outside, and the real game's going to begin, and it's going to look like crap. And we're going to see the same NPC 300 times in a row, just like we saw on the funny trailers where it's like only 4 character models walking around. It's going to be washed out, grainy. I open the door to the bar, and it looks even better. And I'm like, like, there's a guy outside trying to get in the club. He's on his phone. I walk down the street. There's that other guy, Padre. We get in his car. We're driving down, having a conversation. I'm looking out the window in his car. I'm seeing all these banners for all these advertisements. People are walking down the street. We get to a red light. You know, it's so immersive, and I'm just blown away by like the attention to detail. And I mean, it goes on from there, but yeah, I was genuinely floored, Phil. Genuinely floored, and I play a lot of games. So for me to say like this open world game hooked me, it's the same feels I got the first time I played Oblivion and I left the sewers. And you open up the world and it's like, now go play the game for real. Or Skyrim, but Oblivion for me and more of a, I remember that game better. But just that feeling of like, this is your world. Everything you see, everything that's out there, go check it out.
And it is a massive and immersive world, and there is a lot to do, Jim. I could honestly see and not getting bored with just like the really stupid like side quests that take like 6 minutes or whatever. Yeah. I could honestly see someone sinking 250 to 300 hours easy into this game.
Really? Okay, wow. And see, I guess that's what's, you know, it's sad because I think I am probably playing the closest to what their vision was. And, you know, before they became villains, and I never really liked Witcher 3 anyway, but before they became villains, you know, CD Projekt Red was really known for taking incredible amounts of detail and making immersive worlds and characters you cared about and really fleshing them out. So it's a shame that their original vision has been so ruined for whatever reason, and a majority of the players playing it on older consoles aren't really getting to experience that. I don't think any patch is going to fix that.
Yeah, and it's not really, I don't know. I'm glad that you haven't run into any issues yet. But
I'm sure I will.
What I've heard in our PC gaming and our gaming and like the CyberPunk subreddit is that people that have high-end computers like you aren't having problems at all. People, I sent you that can't relate thing.
Yes.
You can't relate. You genuinely can't. And it's like, what did CD Projekt Red want people to really do? Because only a very limited few people had access to the new consoles, and it's just like, and then you launch this game, and it's like, well, what the fuck, man? What are we supposed to do with this?
Yeah, that's what's, I think, so frustrating, probably for them as well. They did spend a lot of time on this. We saw, I want to say, was it 5 or 6 different, what they called Night City wires, which were basically 30-minute deep dives into different mechanics of the game. Of course.
By the way, if you didn't watch those, you're kind of screwed. You won't know what to do in most situations.
True, yes, true. Also, 100% recorded on PC now, no doubt about it. They did finally reveal some PlayStation footage and, sorry, let me rephrase that, PlayStation 5 footage and Xbox Series X footage maybe a week or two before the game launched, but they never mentioned the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 4 Pro, or any of the Xbox S, X, or the OG original VCR Xbox. Incredibly deceitful. I mean, I am frustrated for my fellow gamers. I went and looked it up because I was curious. They said CD Projekt Red, this is their own numbers, they said over 8 million people pre-ordered this game, which is a lot of people. $60 a pop, do the math, it's a lot of money. But keep in mind, and I don't know the exact numbers of Xbox because they kind of stopped reporting them after the war was lost, so to speak. PlayStation 4 just recorded over 113 million units sold. So an overwhelming majority of your audience is going to be console gamers. Obviously, PC is a portion of that, but an overwhelming majority is going to be console gamers. So you really, if you're CD Projekt Red at this point, you really kind of have to fix the older consoles first. But we know that means that the next gen console, or current gen, I guess, and computer probably not going to get as much love. So the game I'm playing now is most likely going to be the game I'm playing after these coveted patches come out into early 2021.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's fine. They screwed the pooch no matter what. But as far as PC gaming and PC gamers go, I'm really happy for you guys because I don't know how many times we've seen a game come out for console that everyone loves, and then PC gamers have to wait like a year for a port, and then it's like a shitty port and it doesn't work right. And it's like you guys are like spending $7,000 on a rig, and they're just like
to dump it on us.
Fuck you.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, you're black. You're black and white again. I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to send you a picture.
You're going to send me a picture of myself?
Yep.
If I turned off my camera feed, could I do that? I wonder if that'd make it better. You're texting me. This is fitting for the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. As Phil is texting me, that we've done, the bookend episodes, right? The premiere episode, the final episode, littered with technical problems. Let's see. I'm going to see what Phil has sent me. I'm going to hold it up to the camera. There's me. Oh, wow. Is the red part of me actually, like, moving?
Yeah, as your head moves, the red from your headband encompasses your whole head, and it moves as a second red head.
All right. You want me to call you back?
No, this is fine because you're not freezing. I don't care what color you are as long as you're not freezing.
Okay. Well, I look normal on my end, but I'm recording, so, I kind of have the final say. Just kidding. If it looks too bad and I start stuttering, let me know. We'll just go audio only, okay?
Okay.
But I wanted to say, really, I guess my bigger question is, CD Projekt Red, no stranger to video games. no stranger to making games. They've been doing this for a while. They've released all the Witcher games, highly, critically acclaimed game of the century, status. How do you think this happened? How do you think we got to where we are for Cyberpunk? Like, what do you think they just ran out of time and they lied and then they were like, well, we're going to lose reputation, but this is a quick cash grab? Or do you think that, their management was lied to? Like, how do you think this all like evolved?
I think it's a combination of the Red engine was not optimized for next gen, and it wasn't optimized for um, high-end PC gaming, which I don't understand how it couldn't be because the current gen of GTXs or whatever that are out have been out for quite a while. But it sounds to me like it was a common because they don't seem to be inherently bad people. I mean, they've done good by the community up until now. It's just they decided to screw the pooch really, really, really bad for their first time. So it sounds to me like it's a combination of their engine wasn't ready. They didn't understand the full scope of the new generation of consoles, and it sounds like someone maybe screwed the pooch from the actual console manufacturers, and they had kind of an outdated and or wrong timeline for production. So it sounds like the consoles came out a little bit sooner than they were supposed to, and it sounds like they wanted to try and give as much of an experience across as big of a breadth of experiences as possible. So, mid-gen consoles like the PS4 Pro and One X and One S, and then the actual OG PS4 and OG VCR, and then the next-gen consoles as well, and computer. It sounds like they took a really complex game that's massive, and they tried to put their textbook CDPR level of detail and beauty and storytelling into it. Right. And it sounds like they had multiple teams working on multiple different platforms, and it just didn't come together how they wanted it to. They at some point, this is an investment. They're making a product to hopefully turn a profit on it. They have to decide where they think they're going to make the most money. Right. They didn't spend money where they should have developing the game for the older consoles, and that was a fuck up because guess what? A huge, major, fantastically bigger portion of the market is operating those older consoles still.
I have noticed that in general, gamers have a short memory. Electronic Arts named the worst company 2 years in a row in the history of all companies, and then they released Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and people are fighting each other to get this thing. So do you think that in a couple years from now, you'll never forgive. I mean, you'll never forget, but do you think that it's just going to take one hot game and everybody's back on board? Or do you think this is like damning in terms of like, it's time to fold the company type, like that level of screw up?
No, people will forget about this. They've garnered enough goodwill with the Witcher series and everything else that they've done that this will fade. But I mean, this is like the most hotly anticipated game of, I feel like, the decade.
I would agree with that.
And they really fucked it up. So people won't be so quick to forgive, but I mean, Starfield is going to come out and people are going to forget about Fallout 76. I mean, they've got that other one coming out, which I see is already on sale on the PlayStation Store. If I pre-order it, it's like $10 off if I actually wanted it. Bethesda's going to get forgiven. I don't know. They're not going to close the company. I'm sure that their next game is already in production. They turned a profit. They turned a profit with this game after one day. So it is what
does this make you? I know you've kind of talked about PC gaming before. You kind of dabbling into it. Is this the kind of game, after hearing me tell you how pretty it looks on a higher end computer, is this the kind of game that's going to make you jump out to get a computer? Or are you like, well, it sucks, I'm going to plow through it, and, do you think this is a good entry point now, based on what I told you, how pretty it looks? Like, would you want to give this game another go if it looked right?
No. No, the game that will potentially get me into PC gaming is Elder Scrolls 6.
Okay. So there's two people that are really happy about what's happening right now. One is Todd Howard. And the
Why? Because they ripped off basically all the visuals and mechanics of their games.
I think it's that he's like, hey, our games aren't that bad because our games may be a buggy mess, but at least they're playable. And I can't recall a time I really ever had a Bethesda game totally brick my console, like, well, not brick, but make your console freeze, where you had to basically unplug it from the wall.
Right.
And the other guy who's really excited is the one guy who's still paying for Stadia, and he's like, see, streaming services, let Google's computers handle the game. So there's two people out there who are laughing all the way to the bank. I guess in closing on Cyberpunk for me, I really think we could do better, and I think this is yet another indication to me, Mr. Skeptic over here, that the media really did us a disservice. Once again, the IGNs of the world, the Giant Bombs, the Kotakus, you name them, I don't care, all of them. The way they got so obsessed over this game, never seeing old code run on old consoles, they never asked those hard questions because they were getting fed all the statues and the yellow the racing chairs that they all have and the bright color headphones and all the swag. I feel like you really saw a press, I don't want to say buy off, but they weren't asking the hard-hitting questions, and I think they fanboyed out just a little too much. And I'm not saying this could have been avoided, but I feel like it would just taken one person to come forward and say, hey, something's not right here. And I think we would have radically had a very, very different discussion now, knowing what we know.
Yeah. Well, hopefully people like you and I, who I know will be honest with the folks, start to get more of a voice in the community, because I can tell you, in all honesty, if I had a problem with him, I have no problem walking up to Phil Spencer and asking him what the fuck his problem is. I don't care who he is within the industry. We serve an industry of gamers, and if there's something going on and people want to know, I'm going to ask. And I can be eloquent, and I can tailor my words to actually, merit more of a response than fuck off out of my multi-billion-dollar building. But, I have no problem asking the hard questions, and I don't care about the freebies, because I'm sure that shit will come with honesty.
Yeah, I think back to it's like it was the really defining point with me in gaming, and I've talked about it on the show 1,000 times, with how I went to E3 and I saw the media climbing over each other to get in that CyberPunk booth, to get the hat, to wear the hat, to walk around as if they had something, holding it literally over our heads. Look at my hat on my head. Look how pretty my hat is. That really told me everything I knew about media. Now as we see a shift from a lot of studio work to more like this, where people are sitting from their homes recording, and you could see behind them on the wall all the Cyberpunk swag that they're proudly displaying, and their little fake plastic swords and their hats and their statues and stuff. It's like, okay, I see where your loyalty is. You don't want to piss off Daddy, because Chatty Daddy's the one who's going to give you tendies. So you're going to get half truths, and I feel like there's no honest reporting. I mean, this isn't a radical new thought, but yeah, I'm really ashamed at media. I think they could have done better. And the fact that this game's sitting at a high Metacritic score, and I know they've now broken out the two between old gen and new gen, but the fact that this game is even sitting anywhere at a high Metacritic score right now, it's honestly a shame. And it shouldn't be. History is not going to reflect the reality of the situation right now, and the reality is we got lied to, and the press was in bed with the people who were lying to us, and a lot of people didn't know any better, and now they're kind of stuck with a crap game.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about Jeff Grubb?
So I have to say, out of all the people who I follow, to me, Jeff Grubb is the most honest, and I really appreciate his work, and I feel like he's one of those fringe guys who maybe doesn't get the respect he deserves, but he gave it a bad score. He explained why. He's been very vocal about it on Twitter, and I don't see him taking a lot of handouts. So if there was anybody I had to put my faith in, it would be him.
Yeah. I was pretty impressed. I mean, I think he gave it like a 61 or a 64.
Yeah, he gave it a lower score.
When he did that, I paid attention, and I started really looking at it without the rose-colored glasses of excitement, and look how pretty my console is. And like, me, when I'm slighted, even in the least, I get pretty fucking aggressive about it.
Yeah.
So. I'm mad. This is bullshit. And I'm glad that he spoke his mind, and I'm glad he gave it a shitty Metacritic score. And fuck them.
So at this point now, we finished recording the show tonight. Everyone goes off and lives their lives. You're probably not going back until these updates come out. Are you going to fight through it, or are you uninstalling it?
Well, it's not crashing my console anymore. And honestly, I want to see what happens next. I mean, there's some really cool shit that you're in store for. I feel kind of bad for you, in a way, because I know how you're going to fall in love with certain people, and that's all I'm going to say. But
no, if they're listen, I'm going to tell you right now, CD Projekt Red, look me in the eye. If I have to kill a dog or a dog dies on my watch, I will be very upset. The opening scene of not Duke Nukem. Why am I thinking Duke Nukem? The opening scene of Wolfenstein: The New Order, the second one that came out. You have to kill a dog. No, I wouldn't do it, and I couldn't do it. I wouldn't bring myself to shooting a digital dog. So you better not screw this up. You had one job, leave the dog. You want to kill cats? I'm fine. Screw cats. But don't touch dogs. See dog meat back there? He's my boy. All right. Moving on to other games that have dogs that you can't kill. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I just hit 55 hours in that game. My wife and I are obsessed with it. I love it. It has really nothing to do with Assassin's Creed. It has nothing to do with assassination. It is a Viking simulator game in which you run around and loot and pillage and burn and destroy. It's got goofy and fun side quests. It's got a fun exploration mode. The skill tree is phenomenal. There's a daily system for you to do quests to get special currency, legendary weapons. It's amazing. I cannot say enough good things about this game. I am in love. Which is a little different than what I heard from you the other night, Phil. So what are your thoughts right now on Assassin's Creed?
Boring. It's not, okay, listen. It's not by any means a bad game. I have the True Blue PS5 version. Thank God, because I couldn't deal with the bullshit you had to deal with the constantly downloading.
Oh, it's on my console twice and it patches. They just had a patch the other day. It patches twice. Yeah, I've accepted it. 70 gigs are gone to the Ubisoft gods forever.
It's a beautiful game. It really, truly is. The world is beautiful. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. I was like warming up to the idea that it was less like subtle tactile warfare and it's more just like, I'm going to literally cleave you in half with this giant axe and there's nothing you can do to stop me. So like I'm getting used to all that. It's just I picked the male Eivor. And he is not a super interesting dude. He is not an endearing character in any way, shape, or form. And for the probably 10 to 15 hours I have into it thus far. And I got to be honest with you, neither are any of his friends, and neither are any of the side quest characters. And so unless you're just like in love with everything going on in the background, or you just really want to see what happens, there's not much there for me personally.
I've got to admit, you definitely touch on a point that I totally agree with. It is generally very boring, which probably contradicts what I just said about how much fun I'm having. I do agree with you. The characters are very one-dimensional. I'm playing with female Eivor. She is very overly stoic and heroic in all situations. She's the smartest person in the room. She's the fastest person in the room. She's the strongest person in the room. There's really no growth, the typical character arc where there's a conflict and you have to overcome the conflict. No, you win every time, it seems like, with her. And I've yet to feel in danger ever, except when I'm in an area I shouldn't be in and the enemies one-shot me. But short of that, going into combat, as a matter of fact, I had to raid a town the other night to get a treasure chest inside. I single-handedly killed everybody in the town. No help from my Vikings. I didn't pull up in the longboat and blow the horn and everybody jumped out. I did it on my own. I was laughing doing it. When I was done, I had full health, full adrenaline, all my arrows, completely geared up. And the only reason I called for help was because there's a door that you need two people to push open the door. So I blew the horn so that my NPC would show up and open the door so I get the chest and leave. Like, I don't think I'm playing like I'm not playing on baby mode. I'm not playing on the hardest mode, but yeah, this game definitely has a conflict that it needed to solve and it didn't, in terms of how powerful you are in the world. I get it, Vikings, big bad, scary. They're gonna come, loot and pillage, but this doesn't seem a very accurate representation, and that you can basically just win. You always win. Story wise, you always win. Conflict wise, you always win. There's no setbacks. I agree with you. I think it's all the other stuff that makes it fun. The graphics, the combat, the looting, the gear, upgrading your town. The side quests are really funny. That's what I think keeps it entertaining. But on its own, if you were going to like golden path this game, you'd be bored out of your mind. Straight up.
I think that there may be, I think that the level of difficulty may be playing a factor into my non-enjoyment, because I always play the Assassin's Creed games on the hardest difficulty.
Oh, okay.
Always.
Interesting.
Always.
Look at you.
And, dude, male Eivor is not the strongest guy in the room, no matter what. I don't know if they're just like, if the development lead on this game is a Norse woman by heritage, and she's just wanted the woman Eivor to shine. All I know is that it's a struggle when I get overwhelmed by enemies. It is a struggle to stay on my feet and stay alive. And the guys that come in with the super long spears that you can't really get to, they are the bane of my existence when I'm playing that game.
So I just, do you do a lot of side? Okay, so let me caveat that with, we're always typically overpowered in the sense that we do a lot of the exploration. I have kind of resorted to doing the main quest line first and then clearing the map, so to speak, only because there's a lot of treasures that are locked behind mission levels that, like, clearly you're going to come back later and open a door or blow up something that allows you to get the treasure. So we've been doing the main mission and then going back. But are you like clearing out an area? Like, are you getting all the wealth, all the artifacts, all the relics and all that, or no?
I do.
Okay.
I do like to go around and explore and get that stuff. Yeah. I don't think I'm getting as much of it as you, because I get bored. Yeah. And then I want to go back to the main story, having forgotten how boring the main story is.
Yeah, so a lot of those side missions really they don't tie into anything else. There's a couple of them that kind of have a light arc over them, but there are side missions you'll go into where before you know it, you're fighting something that is not human, or you are transported to another place where you have to do something else. It really throws you off for a loop, and I think the excitement for me is like, you don't know what it's going to be when you get there. It could just be as normal as like, hey, like one of them was that, like, the egg lady, feed me eggs so she can rip ass to like smoke out the town. Dopey. Equally as, so that's kind of weird. But then you go on the opposite end of the spectrum and you have these really cool quests where you're fighting like undead zombies and stuff. And you're fighting people from, I don't want to say alternate dimensions, but you're doing things that are like, whoa, I did not see this coming. And I think that thrill of like, what is this going to be? Those are really fun moments. I think more fun than the main story, honestly.
Yeah, this game is struggling in my eyes too, because I went and bought a bunch of games when the PS5 came out. I went and bought Call of Duty. I went and bought both the Spider-Mans, and so when I get bored with this, and I'm not bored with like Spider-Man Miles Morales, which amazing game, sidebar. I couldn't stop playing that to go back to Assassin's Creed, and now I'm dicking around with CyberPunk. So I will get to Assassin's Creed. There just has to be that lull where there's nothing else really going on, and I'm bored, and I force myself to play.
And I feel like that's honestly been Assassin's Creed's MO, honestly, if you look at it, at least in my opinion, the last few years, really since Black Flag. I haven't really been wowed by anybody that I'm like, oh, you have an interesting story, I need to see it through. Like, I think I've got more excitement in CyberPunk in the 45 minutes I played that game than I have main storyline in Assassin's Creed, where like I'm genuinely curious what's going to happen next. Assassin's Creed is like, hey, go there, help do the thing, move on, whatever. The last thing I'll say about Assassin's Creed that I really did like, or am liking because we haven't beaten it yet. I love the fact that this game takes you for some significant loops. I mentioned a few of the side things you do. Each area you go to has a different conflict that you have to solve. Whether it's, help somebody rise to become a king, or, overthrow another villain, or other things. You do a lot of levels that are not in England, which was awesome. I did not see that coming. I'm not going to tell you where or what you do, but those were really, really fun. And you also get a lot of gear that has a much more, mythological feel to it. There's a lot of like legendary tales of Norse mythology and their gods and their weapons and that kind of stuff. And those are injected into the game, I think, in a really clever way.
Do you get Mjolnir?
I don't know, do you? I don't know. You might. I might have it. I don't know. You got to play and find out.
That's fucking awesome.
So it's fun. I just wanted to touch on that because I thought that was actually the last thing. PlayStation just got a free patch last night. PlayStation 5 for life. Come at me. They included all the haptic controls in the DualSense now. So when you run, you jump, it's got all those sweet little vibrations, just like Astro. When you pull back the bow, it's got tension on the stick. When you block, your controller vibrates as your shield's like do-do-do-do. When you hit somebody, when you loot things, when you call your wolf or your horse, whatever animal you're riding, it's good. It's really, really good. So definitely, once again, in my opinion, PlayStation, the definitive experience. The last patch cleared out all the screen tearing. There's no more screen tearing. It looks beautiful and it plays beautifully. So that's my endorsement for Assassin's Creed.
Attaboy.
But now, Phil, it's time for the quiz. I'm looking at the clock. We got a few minutes left. I wanted to go through this. One of the games. Let me ask you this. Let's see if you even know what the quiz is about. When we started becoming really good friends, right? The game, what would you say is the game that brought us together? And there's a couple answers, so if you don't get it right on the first try, I'll give you a couple shots. But what's really, when you think back on 2020, we played games, what was the one thing that we were like, hell yeah?
Salsa dancing.
Right. That's salsa dancing, the game, is what brought it. Technically, that was 2019.
You said we became really good friends. I don't dance with acquaintances.
Well, you were being a fuddy-dud, and me and my wife and your wife were all having fun, and you're sitting over there like a big 7'4" ogre, just like...
Bro,
dude,
I was having fun watching you guys
creeper. Have fun. No one stands in the corner and watches like a creeper. That's weird. I don't want any van candy. Get away from me. Dude, freaking... Donald Duck wearing a sombrero. We're all laughing, having fun. Everybody on the boat is dancing. And then there is Filbert in the corner with his...
What is the first game that we really were like, fuck yeah, let's play this together? And I want to say... Oh, man, I'm trying to think.
To me, there's only two answers. That's why I'm genuinely surprised that you're thinking. But this is good. This is a good show. I mean... There's two games that stick out to me that I'm like, okay, these were really games that we genuinely enjoyed playing together. Yeah.
Halo. Yeah, Halo. But, dude, we had so much fun playing Forza together, too.
I would say Halo and The Division were the two games that, like, we genuinely, like, really, really got lost in.
Okay.
But Halo is the correct answer. Forza was good. We haven't played it in a while. Maybe we should play that again. Definitely not Grand Theft Auto. Definitely not Red Dead. Definitely not Red Dead Redemption.
Dude, we had a lot of fun playing Call of Duty online too, but we were already pretty close by then.
Yeah, I guess I don't consider Call of Duty. Yeah, I guess so. But we don't. Call of Duty, we're not necessarily like teaming up. Call of Duty is like, hey, look at the end of the screen. Next game, like we're talking about other things, but we're not like in the moment. And by the way, that latest Call of Duty patch fixes the hitching. Oh, so good. That Battle Pass. Oh, so good.
I downloaded it,
dude,
and I bought Battle Pass.
Dude, I'm already like level 30. No, I'm just kidding. It's fun. Okay, so Halo released a blog post the other day, and we'll go with yesterday by Postums. This is the Master Chief Collection Development Retrospective. It's the final blog of 2020 for Halo. As you guys know or don't know, I'm a Halo super fan, despite the fact that PlayStation is the best console on the planet. Come at me. But Halo's pretty damn good. And they released a Halo by the numbers. And the first thing I thought of is how much does Phil know about Halo? Because when we started playing Halo, legit, that's the first thing I thought. I thought of you when I was reading this. Halo, my question for you, I have a couple questions. We'll see how good you do on this. First of all, any guesses on the number of enemies killed in either firefight combined between firefight mode and campaign mode? Combined. Total enemies killed all year 2020 on either Xbox or PC combined. What's the total number of enemies killed by everybody this year?
6 billion.
You are way low. It is almost 15 billion. Can you believe that? Any guesses, by the way, of the number one enemy killed? And don't say your partner.
Oh, I want to say Grunt because there's so many of them.
Grunts account for 7.3 billion kills, which is insane. By the way, next on the list is Elites, and top 3 is Jackals. But those are kind of the most common enemies. So, yeah.
I hate fighting Jackals.
Yes,
I hate fighting Jackals. I'd rather fight an Elite barehanded than fight a Jackal.
This is now still sticking with Tools of Destruction, still in campaign mode. What is the number one most used weapon in kills? And can you provide me a number of how many kills that weapon has? Oh, and I'm sorry.
Strictly campaign mode?
I lied. No, this is multiplayer. This is multiplayer now. I am sorry. This is multiplayer kills. The number one weapon of multiplayer kills. And how many kills?
Magnum?
Magnum is number 3. 295 million kills, of which I am probably about 7.
Okay, so the AR?
Are you talking about the standard standard battle rifle that you launched the 32 clip? That's what you're talking about. You're not talking about the battle rifle. You're saying assault rifle, correct?
Assault rifle, yeah.
Assault rifle is number 5. 178 million kills.
So number 1 is the shotgun?
Shotgun is not even on the list. Number 1 is the battle rifle. That's the 3-round burst. It was also kind of morphed into a DMR sorely for Reach. No, Reach didn't even have a BR. This is just pure. This would be really Halo 3 battle rifle. Number 2, I'm surprised you didn't guess. It's your damn moniker. This sniper rifle at 355 million kills, and energy sword at number 4.
Okay.
Next question.
Okay.
What is the most lethal grenade? And how many kills does that grenade have? Remember, there are multiple grenade types in Halo. You have the Promethean grenade, you have the plasma grenade, aka the sticky, and you have the old tried and true frag grenade. Which of those?
Plasma.
Which one?
I would vote plasma grenade because I killed you with it so much.
You did. And you know what's really frustrating about when you get stuck with a plasma grenade? Is there's about 2 seconds when you basically have to sit there like an idiot because you've lost. The best you can hope for is to run to the other Master Chief and hug them. And it's gonna be old murder-suicide. That's about the best you can hope for, because when you're shooting and you get, especially in the back where, coward Phil likes to lurk in the background throwing grenades over. I'm in the front row, man. I'm hunkered down. I'm charging, and then here comes the plasma grenade.
You're so full.
You hear the hiss, and you're like, shit. And then Phil's cackling like a 4-year-old.
You're so full of shit. What you're talking about is what you would do.
Oh, yes. Well, for me, it's the rocket launcher, and I don't care. I'm not aiming. I am clearing the hallway. If you are in the hallway, too bad. If that wasn't made clear to you when you went in first, too bad. The hallway will be cleared.
Spanker.
The old Spanker Type 2. Actually, Phil, the plasma grenades account for 5 million kills. The frag grenade counts for 183 million kills. So by a long shot, the frag grenade.
Did you get all of this stuff right as you went through? Did you know it, or did you just?
I read the
it and you never
infographic, but honestly, I would have guessed. Battle rifle #1. That's a very popular weapon. Enemy kills, I would have no count on, and I would have guessed frag because I know a lot of times I use the frag more as a ping, just to see where enemies are in multiplayer or single player. Like, I don't really use it as a weapon, and I get a lot of free kills from it, so I could see that. Last one for you, and then we'll start to wrap up. What is, you probably don't know the map name, but I'll ask you this. What is the deadliest game, as in the most deaths occurred in which Halo multiplayer game? Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, or Reach? And I'm talking multiplayer deaths. There's a map, but don't worry about the map. But which of those games do you think people died the most in? Multiplayer.
Which game? I would say Halo 3.
I would have guessed that too, but it's actually Halo Reach, sitting in at 531 million deaths. That's a lot of dead dudes. And I'm probably responsible for about 7 of those too. Probably with the Magnum. There's some other statistics here, but I thought those were the fun ones. But I thought, since I know how much you love when we play games, we would do another one. All right. I think we've hit about where we need to be time-wise. I guess I will wrap my portion up by saying, it's been a good year, man. I mean, all things considered, we're alive. We have our health. We got PlayStations.
Hey!
Hey! We may or may not do another show in the coming weeks. We'll see. We'll definitely be back in 2021. I will have a new layout. That is my homework. I will be working on something different, so it will look slightly different when the next time we get back together. And yeah, man, it's been a good run with you so far. I enjoy doing these shows, and I look forward to many, many more. Hopefully, eventually, in the future, you get a better web camera, and you look as good as I do. That's the sandwich. You insult somebody, then the good news, then the insult. It's the reverse sandwich.
Okay. Gotcha.
But you know how we end the show, Phil. I'm going to turn it over to you for what we call Phil's Farewell. This is the time where we all stop and reflect and think about what Phil's saying. Deer in headlights. Does he know what he wants to say? Is he going to be funny? Is he going to be serious? Is he going to make fun of my headband? We don't know. I've bought you as much time as I possibly can. So, sir, the question is, are you ready?
Absolutely. So I just want to say back to you, what a pleasure, an absolute pleasure this has been. This has been such a positive light during my week, something to look forward to. Season 1 of War Never Changes is going to go down in the history books as one of the funnest things I've ever done. Hopefully we can follow that up with Season 2. But much like Jim can never get a show off without a hitch, much like you folks at home will never not serve someone, war also never changes. See you in Season 2, folks.